Hey there. Wonderful to be back. It's been forever, it feels like, since I've been live here on Facebook. I'm so glad to be back here with you. I'm in Bend now again, after so many things happening over the last few weeks. Yep, we are going to stay here and think about, how life is going these days. Just want to share a little bit with you about what's been happening in our world. So, yeah, we've had a lot going on, a lot of things happening. And you probably know that my daughter got married. We had a graduation in the family, and Max graduated, Allie got married. It was fantastic. It was so much fun. And yet, these kinds of family activities plus COVID, I got COVID, yay, survived COVID. Jim survived COVID, and we got a puppy. So everything's been happening, like totally. So much happening around here. Yeah, lots and lots going on. Today I want to talk a little bit about something that's related partially to this, like family events and things that we're doing with all of our extended family can bring up so many things for me, for you. And I'm here to share with you a little bit about myself that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. If you follow me here, or if you know me from my past, if you're like one of my friends from Southern California where I was raised, or if you know me here in Bend, Oregon, you may or may not know that I have a traumatic past. So I was raised in a family where there were a lot of secrets. And the reason there were secrets is that my dad was an abusive alcoholic. So I went to school, put on my Ventura High attire and was, I don't know, like back in the day, I was like a song leader or a cheerleader. I had a leadership position in my school. And by all accounts, I looked like I had it going on. If you knew me very well, you knew that wasn't true, but you might not still have known that I had this violent experience at home. In fact, I've never been as afraid in my whole life as I was when I was a teenager in my own home, because my father was very violent and abusive and scary. And that happened, and there was this secrecy that was created. So this is the trauma from my life, which then led me to succumb to being seduced by a high school teacher who I later married. And he was also unfaithful and violent. And there was all of this trauma that happened in my life when I was young, before I was, say, 22 years old. Fortunately for me, I've had an amazingly happy life. I ended up married to a wonderful man. We have this beautiful big family, and it's been fantastic. And I'm so grateful for that. But that trauma, those traumatic experiences from my early life, stay with me. They are part of me. There is no way that I can remove that from myself, because that's a formative experience. So I mentioned we got this puppy. And when puppies and dogs are raised early on, the things that happen with them, the things that we do or that happen to them impact them. And so the trauma of a puppy's life, just like a trauma of a young woman's life, stays with that person or that being, right? And so my trauma is part of myself. It's part of who I am. And it's part of the reason that I do what I do, because one of the things that happens with trauma is it creates this toxic shame cycle. It's interesting to me that lots of times I'll be talking to Jim about something, and I'm talk about shame or fear or disgust or some kind of inner experience that I have about myself. And he's like, why would you ever feel like that about yourself? You're such a lovely person. Excuse me. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's part of me, this part. And it doesn't define me. And one of the things I teach my clients, individual clients, group clients, people who take my online courses, is that we need and we deserve to let go of the toxic shame that defines us, or that could define us, right? It could define us if we allowed that to happen. This sense of shame that we may have based on traumatic events. And I also feel very strongly that just by living in our culture, even if you didn't have something happen in your life like I had happened in mine, and honestly, the things that happened in my life are much less traumatic than things that might have happened in your life or in somebody's life who's listening here. So many things, challenging things happen to us. But even without any of that stuff, there's a lot there that you may realize that is kind of coming at you from the culture at large, that are just things that how somehow impact you as a person, as a woman, as a man, as a non-binary identifying person, things that are impacting you and make you feel ashamed of who you are. And what I'm here to tell you is that we don't have to live with that toxic shame in ourselves all the time. When we do that, that keeps us from being present in the now. And at the same time, interestingly, the antidote to that is to live in the present. So it's both the cure and it's the benefit, right? When we live in the present, we're able to let go of toxic shame and these traumatic past events by actually just being in our body, feeling the certain sensation of being present. Trauma puts us into the past and it takes us out of our present experience. And this is very true for intimacy and all sorts of other parts of your life, my life, everybody's lives, right? Is that we aren't able to be present, partially because some of us is triggered and we're back in the past in some kind of shame cycle that is existing for us. And so this is the goal, is to stay in the present now, and then do the work that it is required of you to be present to the feelings that may be very challenging. Now, if you are triggered by trauma, a lot of times you might find yourself having difficulty accessing your feelings. This happens to me. So I'm great watching a sad movie and I can cry easily there, but sometimes it's harder for me to access my tender feelings when I'm in day-to-day life. I was really happy that I was able to access my very tender feelings around Allie's wedding. I'm growing in that area. And I think that for each of us, those of us who have gone through very traumatic experiences or just who have the small t trauma t experiences, like the everyday traumatic events, to stay in touch with our feelings and to be physically and emotionally and energetically, spiritually present is a huge gift to ourselves and also to anyone in a relationship with us. So you do the work, show up for things like, working with somebody like me, somebody who helps you stay present, embodied, because our bodies keep score about these things that are happening, right? They keep score. And then to let go or release. So the first thing I do with all of my clients is help them/us to release the difficult shame-based feelings that we have. Release. And it's easier said than done, because when we can't even feel them, we don't know they're there. They're kind of just up in our throat. We don't know how to get in touch with them. It's harder to let them go. So the key there again is to stay present. Stay present in your physical experience right now with your breathing. Look at something in the room that you find appealing or somehow it gives you a sense of peace. Stay present with that. And then to the best of your ability right now without shame, because honestly, shame doesn't have it's not going to help you. Please try not to feel ashamed about your shame, right? That can happen. To let go of that. And so at this point, I don't bear my father ill will. I don't bear my first husband ill will. I cleared that stuff up to the best of my ability. If it comes up for me again, I'll clear it up again. It's kind of like cleaning up the messes in ourselves. And I am so grateful to be living in this life and to be able to have the mission to help you and guide you, because I'm on this same journey with you, to let go of this toxic shame, to release the traumatic events from your past and to be present. And by doing this, you'll be able to talk more clearly. You'll be able to open up to what you deeply desire yourself in your intimate relationships, either physically or not, just like feeling like you can connect with other human beings. And you'll be able to share this with somebody, either your intimate partner, a life partner of some other type, a good friend. You'll be able to feel fluid and like you can be present in conversation, physically, whatever it is for you. You'll be able to release these things, to open to who you are and to share them with someone else. That's it for today. Big hug and love. See you next week. Bye-bye.